and thank you for joining me for another episode of Love Your Work. And today I have with me health coach Khieanne Dawson, and she is going to be sharing with us a little bit about her story of how she became a health coach, her own health journey, and some of the lessons that she's learned along the way. Khieanne, thank you for joining us. How are you?
Hi, Whitney. Thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure to be on your podcast, and I'm happy to share.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about what a health coach is and what it is that you do.
Yeah, so a health coach is someone who is an accountability partner to walk alongside you on your health and wellness journey, based on whatever health goals that you have. A health coach will help you with setting some action steps towards meeting those goals and being helping you to stay accountable to the goals and plans that you have set so that you can reach the goals that you want. And I'm an integrative nutrition health coach. So even though my focus is, you know, nutrition based, I work with other parts of us that makes us well, with my clients as well. So I work with other lifestyle things as far as what other areas in your life are out of balance, what things need to improve, right? So based on the health goals that you have, I will say, okay, these are the goals that you have. Let's work towards those goals. And are you also working on these things here as well? Have you thought
Okay.
about looking at these things as well? So it's really to give a comprehensive view of how to reach that optimum state of wellness.
So I think when people think of health coaches, they probably think of the ones that help them physically, right? Maybe their personal trainer or something like that. And you are actually helping your clients to integrate all the different aspects of their personage, right? Their mind,
Yes.
body, and spirit to make sure it's all working together and in balance for optimal health.
Yes, that is correct. It's
Okay.
definitely mind, body, and spirit. So, we have all of those three components of us that really work together in synergy, and we can't have one without the other. And so, getting all of those parts in balance really helps us to be our best selves. And that's what I help with.
Okay. And then I come along and say, your work needs to be a part of that as well. So we'll add another component with that. So I have talked to you a couple of times and have actually interviewed you for another podcast. So I know a little bit about your story. And so if you wouldn't mind sharing sort of maybe a high level view of how you've come to become a health coach, an integrative health coach that is a um, outgrowth, I guess, of your own particular health journey.
Yes, it really is. And, hindsight looking back, when I first started on my journey, I had no idea it would lead me here, but I'm so happy it did. So, way back when I was 12 years old, I was diagnosed with rheumatic fever, and I had a lot of swelling in my joints, hands, and feet, and got diagnosed with rheumatic fever by our family doctor. And I was told that I would have to take penicillin shots once a month for the rest of my life, and that was because they were concerned about my heart valves being infected and leading to other heart issues later on. So I did that for a number of years, and then when I turned 18, I was in college, and I started learning more about eating healthier, and I met some people who were into health and lifestyle, and I started
Okay, let
learning.
me just interrupt you there before you finish that. That's interesting because most people go that total opposite direction when they go off to college, and you go to college and you learn to eat healthier. So kudos to you.
Well, thank you. Well, the interesting thing is, I got to tell you, this is quite funny because it didn't happen right away. So I started college when I was pretty young. I was about 16 when I started college. And I literally gained 15 pounds the first year because I was just eating any and everything in sight, stuff that I hadn't eaten at home and all of that. And I gained a lot of weight. And it wasn't until like end of my sophomore year and beginning of my junior year when I was 18 that I started learning and making
Okay.
changes, because I was like, all right, I got to do something different. I don't see how what I've been doing has been helping me. And truly, when I made the change, first I decided I wanted to, try going plant-based because I heard that and I was learning more that, changing the things you eat can reverse a lot of chronic issues in our
Mm-hmm.
bodies, right? So I was fascinated with that. And I thought, okay, I've heard so many testimonials. I want to give it a try and see how it will work for me. So I did. And when I first, I dropped red meat and then chicken and fish and, some, and dairy products kind of lingered here and there, but, they went away after a little bit. But I'll tell you, in 2 months, I lost 10 pounds of excess fluid, all that water weight of inflammation,
Mm.
the inflammation that I had in my body that I didn't even realize was there. We just went away, and also, so as I said, I stopped eating those products and I started eating more vegetables and eating, instead of using table salt, I started using pure sea salt that has 97 trace minerals, and most of us don't realize that we're minerally deficient, and minerals are very important for a lot of metabolic processes in our bodies. So when I did that, my body really responded well, and I didn't realize that I had been so inflamed,
Mm.
until all of that fluid just went. And one of the other symptoms of having rheumatic fever is that I also had a heart murmur. And so that's an irregular heartbeat. Interestingly enough, a year after I made that change, I went to a cardiologist because prior I had to get checked periodically to make sure that, things were going okay and if things weren't worsening, right? So when I got checked, the cardiologist couldn't even detect a heart murmur. It was completely gone. They had no idea. They're like, I can't even tell you ever had one. And
That's
at that
awesome.
point was the turning point. I was like, all right, this is really, really making a shift in my body. And so I just got dug deep. I just started learning everything I could about eating healthier, choosing, healthier ingredients, starting learning how to cook in a healthy way, and just expanded my view on food, and just really appreciated this new lease on life that I felt. I truly believe that making that change added years to my life and life to my years.
Oh, yeah.
So today when people see me and my three kids, they think we're all siblings, which is quite funny because my oldest is 22, my second one is 20, and my third is 18. And a lot of times when we're together, and by the way, I'm the shortest one out of the bunch, so it's quite funny. But when people see us together, they either think we're all college students or that we're all siblings or something. So I really I'm thankful for that because God really helped me along that journey, and that changing of my eating and lifestyle really opened up doors for me to address emotional things that I hadn't been addressing, that I hadn't been
Mm-hmm.
working on, So that whole mind, body, spirit is such an important piece. But I'll
Right.
tell you, it's very difficult sometimes to be able to see the areas spiritually or mentally that need addressing if the physical body is
Right.
right. If
It's
the
taking so much of your energy
energy,
and
exactly.
it focus and attention. Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes, for sure. And it's interesting because when I started making the shift and I was realizing, I was like, wow, I lost all this inflammation. I got so excited. I was going to the gym more and my skin cleared up. It was just great. I mean, my hair, even the hair on my skin used to be so coarse, like on my arm, used to be so coarse. And then it got so soft and just smooth. It was like so different. I mean, I was noticing different things, even like certain marks on my skin started to fade. even though they had it in years, you know? So there's so many things I noticed. I was like, wow, this is really good. This is really helping me, you know, be healthier. And so fast forward a number of years to where um, here it comes 2016. I was between jobs and I was at the point where I said, all right, I want to live my passion. I don't want to just do a job just for a job's
Mhm.
sake. I want to be able to help people make a difference in people's lives. And so with that, I said, all right. And I started really praying about it. And truly, you know, long story short, I had the opportunity to go to a health coach training school. And I would not have learned about that opportunity if it were not for someone I met at a job in the previous. You know
Okay.
what I mean? And he had told me about him going through the training. And he said, well, you know, I think you might like it. But at the time, it wasn't the right time. But then
Right.
come a year and a half later, that was the time that I needed to do it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yes.
And I believe every little step and every little, you know, path along the way really set me to where I am now because it was a building block. Everything was a
Yes.
block. You know what I mean? And so I went to health coach training school, graduated, and when I got done, I, you know, got my business registered, and I started working a little bit. Well, I was working for other, you know, company before, you know, initially, and then by the fall of 2019, I had this strong urgency that I needed to just plunge in,
Mm.
full all in, and go full time doing just the coaching without doing consulting or working, you know, for anyone else. And so I did. Beginning of 2020, I started out, you know, seeing clients at my office. I was doing cooking classes in the community prior and had a couple things lined up. And then COVID hit in March.
Mm.
And that completely shifted everything, you know. And I was kind of thrown aback at first, you know, but you know, realized that I needed to pivot and, you know, looked at opportunities to do things virtually. So now I do my coaching and cooking classes virtually. And interestingly enough, I've been able to meet and reach people that I would not have under
Yes.
normal circumstances because they were more local. And I've been able to, you know, have clients that were, you know, even as far as Canada and, you know, halfway across the country, you know what I mean? So
Yes.
it's been
Yes.
great.
You
Um,
know, in that respect, it has been helpful that, you know, this online world, it's challenging for a lot of people, but it absolutely has made it possible to connect with people that we ordinarily wouldn't have. Like I'm connected to you now. I wouldn't
yes,
That would not have happened otherwise. And
that's right.
so it is a great thing to have, you know, to be able to be in a business that you can sort of create and craft the way you want and need to fit your lifestyle, going back to the mind, body, and spirit, and having work that allows you to do that. And so
Yes.
tell us what it is that you love about the work that you're doing.
Yes. Oh, I love watching my clients' transformations. I absolutely love to see them light up when they once, you know, were kind of unsure that they were able to do something and then they did it and they're like, wow, this wasn't as hard as I thought, or wow, this tastes really good and I thought I hated this particular food, whatever it is. Like one of my clients, you know, she absolutely hated buckwheat, right? And buckwheat is sort of like are you familiar with buckwheat?
I am. We used to have, I think I told you this in another somewhere else, that we were vegetarians for a while as kids. And that so we would, my father made buckwheat pancakes. I wasn't a fan, but pancakes are better than no pancakes. Buckwheat pancakes were better than no pancakes at all. So
Yes, yes. And it's interesting because the first time, and it's amazing how our palate changes. And I realized this for myself too. But the very first time I tried buckwheat, I thought it was awful. But then I started learning how to make it much more enjoyable. So that's one of the fun things I like about doing what I do with the cooking and, writing a cookbook and things like that. But going back to my client, she thought she absolutely hated buckwheat. And then I made this amazing buckwheat pancake recipe, and she tried it and she was like, I love it. I absolutely love it. I can't believe I like it. And even collard greens, like she absolutely hated collard greens. I made this really great green drink and had her try it, and she was floored. She was like, I didn't think I'd like this.
right.
So, and but this was before, when I was seeing my clients face to face, and I would do things like that. um and it was just amazing. And now basically I have I give them a recipe and then we cook together, through Zoom. So, but it's just quite interesting though. And then just watching their creative juices flow, right? Like they were before, when they first started working with me, they're like, I have no idea where to start. And then after a couple weeks, they're like going to the store and their brains are just like, oh, I want to try this, I want to try that. And then they're going home and they're whipping up this and whipping up that. And then they're sending me pictures and they're like, guess what I made? And I'm like, yes, this is great. I love it. And I come up with amazing things. And I said, look at what you're doing. Isn't this great? And so, I love to see that. And I love to see them get excited about the fact that they're, making healthy choices, and also them seeing the benefits in their family members as
Right.
well.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's also a good thing because their family is watching and they're like, oh, what are you doing?
Right.
And I love to see what's happening with you. I want to tell me more about it.
I love this aspect of what you do, right? There are lots of health and wellness coaches, but not everyone is working with you to learn to cook, right? Sort of to learn to cook, to help you grow in your creativity, to walk you through some recipes. And I know you mentioned a cookbook. I know you're working on a cookbook that you've got on the horizon, a little bit down the line, but to be able to work with you and have you there in the kitchen, I would think would be extremely beneficial for your clients.
Yes, they do find it very, very beneficial. And, it's interesting because many people say you go, okay, so anyone can go on Google and find recipes about anything,
Right,
right?
right.
And some people are good with that and they'll take it and go with it. Other people, it's too overwhelming. There are too many things to choose from, and they're not familiar with some of the ingredients and they just don't know where to start and they feel stuck. So this is where a health coach comes in and says, okay, someone like me, I will say, all right, well, here's what you can do, try this, this, and this. And I give them, my recipes, and I say, give them the grocery list, and they go and they get the things for the class. And then we do it together. Any questions they have, we talk about it together.
That's the
So
awesome part, right? That really,
yes,
I think, would set you apart from so many others, that you are there doing this alongside with them.
yes, yes. And, some people start out with doing cooking classes with me, and then they say, all right, I want to go into a full coaching program. And then they get the one-on-one attention and they do, other things besides the cooking and get that well-rounded lifestyle improvement, so, but, I just love it when, they send me a recommendation and they say, I've really learned how to enjoy eating healthy foods where I thought
Yeah.
before I wouldn't like it, or, I feel so much better now and I don't feel overwhelmed and I feel like I can do it, so those are some really good things that I find it so rewarding that I'm making a difference in their lives. And that's going to be, transformed into other things and other areas in their life
Right.
and their, you know what I mean? So,
Absolutely. So let's take a little trip down memory lane. So
okay.
you already mentioned that the health coach wasn't on your radar at some point, right? It became a part of your journey, but where did you start? What was the very first job that you had?
Well, I will say it was an unpaid job. I was a mom. I was a stay-home mom for many years when my kids were younger. And that was when I started writing my cookbook, interestingly enough. So all of these different things intersect in some way or another, when my oldest was 2, I started writing the recipes down that I was experimenting with and trying and feeding them to my kids and giving them to friends and taking them to church and trying different things. And some of them didn't turn out so good. I'll tell you that. Some recipes did not turn out so good, and those I didn't write down and keep. But the good ones I kept and saved those, and so I could make them again, and kept them in a notebook. And at when I started writing more in there, I was like, you know what? When I get to fill that book, I want to get it published when I fill it up. And last year I filled it up, so I'm taking steps now to get it in a completed, published work. So
That's
hopefully
awesome.
that's
That's
my
awesome.
goal by next year. Yeah.
So are you a deconstructor or are you a creator? You met Greer when we recorded Lemon Drops. Her son is an aspiring chef, a budding chef, and he is a deconstructor. So he takes things that he likes and deconstructs them and then makes them his own. Is that how you operate, or are you more of a creator and just like, let me just throw stuff together and see how it works out, or maybe a little bit of both?
Actually, it's both. So whenever I've gone anywhere and tried things, I'm always in my mind, and it's funny, my friends laugh at me all the time because they're like, you're always like, thinking, okay, what's in this food? What are the ingredients? Because I'm like, I'm tasting it, right? And my checklist is going off in my head. I'm like, all right, I taste some cumin, some, this and that. And it's just quite funny. And then I'm like, I like this. I want to try it, see if I can do it, or something similar or something better. And there have been times when I've made things that were way better than something I had somewhere else,
Right, right.
and I'm like, oh, all right, this is a keeper, so but yeah, and I also do lots of creating too, because I had to learn early on to make something awesome out of very little.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, I just need a few simple herbs and some base ingredients, and I want to make something delicious, and that's one of the things that I really I value well, because in this day and age, it's so important that people can learn how to make healthy meals in an economical way.
Right.
You don't have to break the bank to do it. It's a matter of where are you allocating your resources.
Okay.
So for my clients, I tell them, I said, if you're used to going and spending X amount of money on processed food, all these boxed crackers and chips and all these other things, right, that you would be snacking on all the time, how about you take that money and invest in some healthier ingredients? Then you're not actually spending more, you're just shifting.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and also when you buy things like dried beans, you can get a lot of food out of one bag of 1 pound of dried
Right.
beans.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So thinking of something like that, it's very nutritious, but it's so simple, but yet you can do so many things with it. Even
Absolutely.
1 cup of oats, there are a lot of different things you can do. You can make burgers with beans.
We
You know,
do, and
yeah,
I love black bean burgers and some other and other ingredients that we've tried and made burgers with. It's not a secret ingredient. Worcestershire sauce and a steak seasoning. Um, it's salt and whatever spices, but it's like, oh, that tastes just like a burger.
Yeah, yeah, without the
So yeah,
cholesterol and the saturated fat, and
yeah, yes,
and you just feel cleaner when you eat them. You don't feel
absolutely.
like that bogged down, and that's one of the things I love too. And I teach my clients is pay attention to the signals your body sends you when you're eating certain foods. It's telling you
Mm-hmm.
if you're feeling actively, awake and up and about, it's energizing you. But if it's feeling like you need to go hibernate and take a 3-hour nap, then that might be too much for you. Your body's really under a lot of stress. You know what I mean? So it's different things like that. It's just paying attention to the signals and knowing what they mean, and
Right.
then helping your body be the best it can be.
Okay.
So
And so, aside from your health related lessons, what are some of the other lessons that you've learned from the time you started as a single mom to now being an entrepreneur? And you're a coach, an entrepreneur. You're about to be an author. You're going to be a published author. Um, in a matter of short course. What are some of the lessons that you've learned as a part of the work side of your journey?
yeah, so I will say I so early on, I was married previously, and during that time, I realized that I wasn't really fully understanding who I was as a person. And when that ended, I realized that I had to do some deep inner work. I started, but I needed to go another level with it. And on that journey, I realized that I had to embrace forgiveness. I really clung close to my faith in God and trusting that I had a purpose here and that I could fulfill it and that I could be the best that I could be and that I could make a difference in the world. And so there were a number of things, and choosing forgiveness, which and it takes a process,
Right.
letting go of bitterness, letting go of the things I couldn't control and working on the things that I could control. Taking time to nurture my creativity, taking time to really just enjoy life and be happy in my own
Yeah.
skin. All of those different things, and being grateful for everything, even the
Yes.
challenges,
Yes.
because there are lessons learned through them that help us to be stronger, that we're able to be the best that we can be. And interestingly enough, um, before when I a few years, let's see, yeah, a couple years before I met my second husband, interestingly enough, I was in my devotions one morning and I was praying, and I just had this impression to write down all of the things that I am looking for in a partner. And I thought that was quite interesting. And a friend of mine had told me about it before, that that's one of the things that he did. And I said, you know what, I'm going to write it down. I'm going to pray about it. And I wrote the date and I had the sheet and I folded it up and I put it in my Bible and I just kind of forgot about it for a little bit. Right. And then it's quite funny because I got introduced to him about a year later, but there was, it was just an introduction. And then the year after that, we had mutual friends and they said, you guys should really get together. You guys should talk. Literally like that introduction of you guys should chat. And I thought, all right, okay. So we started talking, messaging through Facebook Messenger. And we just got into, really getting to know each other. And it just hit me one day. What was the date that I had written this list down? And I went back to my list. And do you know, it was 2 years prior to the date, same exact
Wow.
day
That's
that I
awesome.
made that list, that we started messaging on Messenger, literally. And I knew that at that point, I was in tears because I was like, God, you answer prayers and
That
you
is so awesome.
what is best. And I was just blown away. And he fit everything on the list. Like as we were dating and going through, I was checking things off.
I
And
love that. And it's that's one of those things that happens, it can happen in each area of our life, or any
yes,
area of our life, right?
any
For our
area. Yes.
health, for our relationships, not
Yeah.
only romantic relationships, but with parents or
Yeah.
children, with ourselves, and with our work, that
Mhm.
we can make a declaration, or set an intention, and put out there what it is that we want. And then you look up one day, and you've talked about forgiveness and gratitude, and live our lives in such a way that we are fulfilling our purpose. And then you look up one day, and you go, oh, my life is what I wrote down I wanted it to be, because you are actually living your life the way you want it to be, and then attracting into it the things that you want. So I think that's beautiful, and I love that story, and um, I am happy for you that it's worked
Thank you.
out that way. I'm happy for you on how your business is working out. And hopefully, from this interview, there will be some people in the audience that will avail themselves of the opportunity to work with you. So, why don't you share with us how, if someone wanted to work with you, that they could get in touch with you and do that?
Yeah, so for those who are interested in working with me, email me and we could set up a time to talk, to have a quick 30-minute discovery call. You can email me at abundantlifeihc@gmail.com. That's abundantlifeihc@gmail.com. You can also find my business page at www.facebook.com/Abundant Life IHC. Or if you do a search for Abundant Life Integrative Health Coaching, that should also come up for you, and you can just go straight there, and you can message me directly from there as well. You can check out the things that I've posted. You can see different updates of things that I have coming up. And I typically, right now I'm opening up, I have some openings for one-on-one clients and openings for cooking classes. I do group cooking classes as well as private. So feel free to, give me a call. I mean, give me send me an email and message me through my Facebook page, and we can have a chat.
That's awesome. So take advantage of Kian's offer to chat with you, to learn a little bit more about you, have a discovery call with her to see how she can help you have an integrated life, to get your mind, body, and spirit integrated, balanced, healthy, and you can live the best life possible. So, Khieanne, thank you so much for joining us. Her contact information is in the post accompanying this video. And so, have a great rest of your day. And again, Khieanne, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, Whitney, and
It was
enjoy your
my
day as
pleasure.
well.
Oh, thank you. Take care.
All right, take care.